All right. Well, I think this is a good time to get started. Make sure we take advantage of our lunch break. So if everyone would like to sit or lay back flat on our mat, we are going to get started. Welcome to our yoga class. All right, so laying flat on our back in what we call Shavasana. Go ahead and try to get comfortable. If we were stretching or if we were trying to get ourselves settled on our mat, just noticing how we're feeling as we come down here. Are we holding tension in our shoulders? If so, really pay attention to letting the shoulders melt into the floor. Our arms are down by our sides. Just relax the palms. Allow the feet to open as the hips really sink into the floor, noticing both left and right sides of our body becoming level. Notice too if we feel like we're twisted, if one leg feels longer than the other. This is all about checking in with ourselves, taking that body scan right from the feet up through to the head, noticing each part of our body. And as we're becoming more comfortable in our own skin, giving ourselves permission to relax our body into the mat, let's start paying attention to our breath. Notice the inhale, and then simply notice the exhale. Not trying to force it, not even trying to control it. Just starting our practice today by becoming aware and noticing how it feels to take that inhale through the nose. Notice how it feels as we exhale. Trying to breathe in and out through the nose, but also noticing if we'd prefer to breathe out or exhale through the mouth. And as we continue to work on our breathing, let's maybe lengthen our necks a little bit, perhaps opening up across the collars, feeling our legs get a little bit longer or heavier as they really release into the mat. And as we've let go of our abdomen, with that inhale, we allow the diaphragm to expand, forcing the rib cage up to the ceiling. On that exhale, we feel everything come down, releasing into the floor. If at ever during our practice we feel like we're losing focus or we're becoming distracted, please use this breathing technique of listening and paying attention to the inhale, exhale as a point to draw our focus back to. It's a great little exercise. As we're continuing to focus on our breathing, our next inhale reaches our arms up long, having the arms come up above the head, long on the floor, noticing, are we able to touch the ground? How does this feel on our shoulders? Maybe our lower backs have peeled up. Do we feel like we've been able to take bigger, fuller breaths? On our next exhale, release our arms, slowly gathering those knees into the chest and hug onto the legs. Holding our knees to chest pose, holding our shins or behind the knees on the thighs, gently rocking side to side. One of my favorite warm-up exercises in yoga. A simple hug, showing our body some signs of gratitude, noticing any tension in the hips, kneading out any knots in the back, really becoming aware of how our body's functioning on this beautiful Monday. How do we feel? Continuing to hold knees to chest, go ahead and just roll through those ankles, encouraging proper blood flow, really good circulation all the way through to the feet. Keeping a hold of our right knee, taking that single leg stretch as we extend the left leg down to the floor, drawing our right knee out towards our right shoulder, firmly pressing that left leg down into the mat, just noticing any stretch we have coming across our hips. While we're holding this stretch, I want us to really pay attention to the sensation we feel and where it's localizing and concentrating. If it feels good to stay here, continue doing so. Otherwise, drawing the knee across towards the left shoulder now. Becoming aware of any shift in sensation. Have we shifted the stretch over into the right hip? Are we feeling this in the back? Taking these little notes while we practice today. Inhaling, hug the knee into the middle of the body. Exhale, release the leg down to the floor. Whenever we're ready, our next inhale draws the left knee into the chest. And when we're comfortable to do so, we open the knee out towards the left shoulder. Trying to keep that left foot relaxed, not scrunching or too tight. And that right leg, we're firmly and actively pressing it down into the floor. Trying to keep our nose pointing straight up to the ceiling. We keep the base of our head just flat on the ground. Shoulders are still calm. Staying here if it feels good. Otherwise, we can explore the stretch as we draw the knee out towards our right shoulder. How's our breathing? Is it coming slower? Is it something that we're enjoying? Is it helping us ground or stay grounded? An anchor, if you will. Inhale, draw the knee in. Exhale, release the leg down to the floor. Taking our feet flat onto the ground next. Feet are placed roughly hips width distance apart with toes to the ceiling. Taking our hands to the side of the head. Taking a slight chin tuck, lengthening the neck. We nod, lifting the head and shoulders up, holding an abdominal crunch. We're going to stay here. If it doesn't feel good for us to do this today, simply rest your head back down onto the ground. Otherwise, as we hold this ab crunch, I want us to alternate marches. Inhale, right knee. Exhale, lower the leg. Inhale, lift the left knee. Exhale, lower. Inhale, right, nice and slow. Exhale, down. Inhale, left. Exhale, trying to stay still. Inhale, right across hips. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left. Now we can keep doing it like this, or join me in adding a twist as we inhale the right knee, cross the left elbow over. Inhale the left knee, cross the right elbow over. And we can maybe add a little bit more speed if that feels good. Noticing how it feels if we've chosen to add that rotation, engaging more muscle groups, maybe feeling a little bit more activate. If we're staying with that alternate march, noticing too if we're maybe able to lift the shoulders up a bit, or if we're resting the necks today, keeping the shoulders down, making sure we're leaving those hips still and level. I want everyone to do one more on each leg. And when we're finished that, we can completely relax the neck and shoulders down. In fact, we'll bring the hands down on either side of our hip, preparing for our glute bridge. With our bridges, really focusing on opening across the collar, drawing shoulders into the mat, pressing all 10 fingers and all 10 hands, or all 10 fingers and all 10 toes into the ground. We'll inhale, lift our hips up to the ceiling. And exhale, slowly lower. Inhale, lifting the hips up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift, really activate through the glutes. This is a glute activation exercise. Exhale, vertebrae by vertebrae, we lower the body. We'll do this twice more. Inhale, lift, stretching open through front of hips, down thighs. Exhale, releasing, control that lower. One last time. Inhale, lifting up, maybe a little bit higher. Exhale, lowering down. Very nice. Take our time coming up and over. We're going to stop in a seated position. And in our seated position, we're going to find a V-sit, coming into, in yoga, what we call a boat pose. So we can do this a few different ways, starting with our knees bent. I like to dig my heels in. You can keep your feet flat if preferred. I want you to sit up really nice and tall, scooping the hands underneath the knees, leaning back about 45 degrees. Let's really think about sandwiching the back and the belly button into the middle. We can keep our hands holding our knees. We could even gently touch out to the side, or we could reach our arms forward. This is a great boat pose, a great way to activate through the core. Try not to clench too much with those hips, and really proud through the chest, drawing those shoulder blades together. If we're enjoying this position, we found some comfort with where we're holding our hands, whichever way they are. Perhaps we want to try lifting one leg up at a time, or some of us may even prefer to lift up both legs. This would just be growing our boat, taking it from a little rowboat, maybe bringing it into a beautiful yacht. So let's try holding this just for a few more breaths, inhaling and exhaling, whether it's one leg at a time, feet are down, doesn't matter. Starting to really feel those muscles. If you can see me, I am shaking. Just noticing how your own body is working right now. We'll take that one final last big inhale. And exhale, release the leg. Give yourself a ginormous hug. Slowly curling and rolling ourselves upwards. We're going to work our way over onto hands and knees. Hands come directly beneath our shoulders. Spread those fingers. Knees are placed underneath our hips. Flat feet on the floor, uncurling those toes. Watching your elbows, keeping them slightly soft in order to encourage strong activation of the upper arm all the way in through the back, drawing those bellies up nice and high. We'll find spinal balance. Inhale, reaching right arm directly in front of the shoulder with that left leg coming up behind us, lowering down with our exhale. Inhale, left arm, right leg. Exhale, lower. Inhale, right. Exhale. We're looking to draw straight lines. Inhale, left. Exhale. Inhale, right. Exhale. Inhale, left. Exhale. We're going to add on. Inhale, right arm, left leg, hold. Draw the elbow and knee under in a songbird. Inhale, extend, straight line. Exhale. Now you can always tap the floor instead. Inhale, extend. Exhale, in. Inhale, extend, working that abdominal crunch. Exhale, in. Inhale, extend and lengthen. Exhale, in. One more set of these. Inhale, open. Exhale, in. Now on the inhale, let's open and hold. Exhale, release. With the other side now, inhale, left arm, right leg, hold it here. Now add that abdominal crunch, draw it in. Inhale, open. Exhale, under. Inhale, extend. Working on that control and balance. Exhale, under. Inhale, open. Exhale. Inhale, open. Couple more. Exhale. Inhale, extend. Last time, exhale. Inhale, open. And release down, finding tabletop. From tabletop position, let's take our cows and cats, my favorite stretch of the spine. We inhale, untuck the tailbone. Notice the belly open, the chest, the neck, the head. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, draw the belly buttons in, contract the abdomen, round through the upper backs, tuck the chin. Inhale, repeat, we open. Coming into our cow stretch. Exhale, round the backs, finding cat stretch. Inhale, open. Exhale, round, really paying attention to what we're feeling. Inhale, open, last time in cow. And exhale, round up nice and high here to cat. Pressing back into child's pose. Coming back through the hips, reaching forward with the hands. If I can encourage an active stretch today, I want us to press through the 10 fingers, allowing the arms to be held off of the mat, elbows high, pressing our hips back. If we'd rather find relaxation in today's class, please feel free to draw the hands in and don't worry about this. But if we want just a little bit more with mobility and flexibility, please press away from the hands when we're in child's pose. Notice what it feels like in the knees, the hips, the back, the shoulders. Taking our thread the needle next, we'll bring that right arm, threading it underneath our left, laying into that right shoulder. Now I understand that for some of us, this is not comfortable. So if anyone prefers not to take a child's pose, thread the needle, feel free to stay in child's pose or take our shoulder stretch as done, seated like this. Get a couple more breaths wherever we've chosen to be. Slowly working our way through the middle. We'll take our left arm now, thread it underneath the right shoulder, scooping it with the right arm in this case. Looking, if we're in child's pose, towards. Good, just hold a couple more breaths. What are we feeling as we stretch through the left arm? The upper back, the shoulder. And releasing through that. From child's pose position, we're going to come all the way forward through tabletop next, sweeping our right foot up into runner's lunge. Now, a couple of different things here. As we take our first lunge, if it's not comfortable on that supporting left knee, we can do a couple of things. We can fold the mat under to just add a little bit more cushion, provide some more support. And for anyone who'd rather not stay kneeling, at this point, I'd recommend just coming up and holding a higher lunge when we do this stretch. I find it more effective kneeling, but we need to listen to our bodies and just take the modifications there. So if we're holding runner's lunge or a high lunge, the focus is going to be on rolling those shoulders down our backs, pinching them together, zipping up through the core, finding our balance. Now, as we reach ourselves forward into that right knee, lengthening up the back left thigh into the hip, we can reach our arms tall, remembering shoulders come down. And for anyone taking extra care of shoulders, we draw our hands through heart center instead. Noticing how this feels, I'll encourage that we try closing our eyes, eliminating that visual sense, and instead really drawing our practice internally. Notice our breathing. Let's take a moment to pay attention to our left hip. As we hold this lunge, our primary focus is on opening up that hip flexor, stretching those muscles that are constantly hinged as we sit at our desk. Remember that exhale. Let's help the stretch response, that relaxation response. One more big inhale. Exhale, release. Now, if you're standing, feel free to stand because we're just going to switch legs. If we're down on the floor, we sweep our foot back, take our time, bringing that left leg up, helping it get there however you need to, so the knee is stacked directly on top of ankle. If that knee needs a little bit cushion, remember we provide it with a mat, or if you have the option to add a towel or a pillow, please do so. Whenever we're ready, we lift our hands up, ensure that the hips are trying to stay level, shoulders are facing forward. We reach our arms into position, whether they're held high, always helps as we open up through the shoulders. However, those of us taking care, let's be mindful of the position of the arms, drawing hands through prayer into heart center. Now, as we continue to bend in through the left knee, really drawing that right hip forward and open. I want us to keep the left foot long through the toes and zip up through the core, very proud through heart center. And just as we did on the right leg, I'll encourage us to close our eyes and notice how that feels. If it's something that we don't enjoy, find a spot in the room instead that we can focus on, really encouraging us to look high, helping open the heart center. And just with our balance, if we can watch or look at something, we can remain a little bit more focused. Now, as we take our last big inhale, get a little bit taller, and exhale, release. If we were standing, I'll ask that we come down to the floor now, and all of us together can come back into child's pose. Ooh, releasing those hips, extending through the arms if that's something that we're happy with. Taking a few breaths in child's pose. If we're taking downward dog today, we're going to do so now. Curling the toes underneath, lifting our hips up nice and high to the ceiling. And just ease into it. This is our first down dog. Ease into it. What I mean by that is, don't expect our heels to come down to the floor. Remember, in yoga, we have no expectations. So I want us to be kind with our knees, keeping them soft. Give our ankles lots of freedom here. Pressing away from our hands, lifting those tailbones up really high. We're working on, first of all, the hands and the feet feeling strong and grounded, and then the spine staying neutral, long through those shoulders. Then we play with the legs. I always like to walk the dog, pedaling from right to left foot, noticing any massage that feels good here. Sometimes it's nice to fan from big toe out to pinky toe, or to play with heels coming down to the floor. Maybe even just bending one leg at a time, noticing where in the leg it feels really good to stretch. Now from down dog, I want us to look forward in between our hands, slowly reach forward into a plank. Maybe we need to adjust the position of our feet to have long backs. Perhaps some of us would feel more comfortable drawing the knees down into a modified plank. From this plank position, we're going to slowly lower, called chaturanga. So from chaturanga, we just slow lower, bending at the elbows, scooping up into cobra, whether it's baby or full stretch. Let's have long necks, long arms, trying to lift our hips up away from the ground. And we press ourselves back, whether through down dog or child's pose, whichever you'd prefer. We listen to our bodies. We do so without judgment, without expectation, without competition. We notice how it feels like. What are we feeling? This is the one time of our day that we get to take care of ourselves without any other agenda. It can be relaxation, it can be for flexibility, it can simply be for a break emotionally or mentally. So let's notice, what do we feel? Now let's slowly start to walk our hands and feet together. Take our time as we come to the top of our mat, finding monkey pose next. Monkey is a flat back, really drawing those bellies in, hands coming to the shins or the thighs. And I want us to focus on the upper back, pulling those shoulder blades in together. Noticing that your back is becoming so flat that you might feel a little bit of a stretch of the backs of our legs. We can have our legs fairly straight, but please err on the side of bent so that we can hold this without overstretching. Now, as we hold our monkey pose, I want us to prepare for chair. Chair, we come back into a squat. Weight shifts to the heels and hips as we reach the arms forward. Hands can be held high. Again, for those taking caution with shoulders, we find heart center. Let's all continue to squeeze those shoulder blades together, drawing bellies in. We're going to notice that we start to feel some heat building in those thighs as we continue to bend through the legs, shifting weight back through heels and hips. A little heat building to encourage the body warming up. Sinking a little bit lower just for the last 2 breaths. Big inhale, lift tall. And exhale, release. Oh, fantastic. At this point, please feel free to grab a drink of water. Otherwise, we're working our way to the front of our mat, rolling those shoulders down, establishing Tadasana. Tadasana is feet hips width distance apart, palms facing forward, chest is proud, head is tall. As we hold this position, we're going to prepare for our warrior series. We'll start by keeping our right foot flat on the floor, left foot stepping back through warrior 1. Arms can come up or find themselves pressing through heart center. Holding warrior 1, I'm going to shift my body so you can see me from a different angle. We'll have our right foot forward, left foot back, arms lifted or through our prayer heart center. As we hold warrior 1, let's try to keep our hips on the same level. Shoulders staying down, facing front. zipping up through the core. From warrior one, we're going to keep that heel down, opening our body in through warrior two. So you'll notice that your heels would run on the same imaginary line, so do the arms. Bending in through our right knee. I want the knee to come back. So we're opening across those hips, keeping the shoulders facing in the same direction. Very good. Let's continue holding this. At any point, if warrior two is becoming a little bit more taxing, a little bit too much intensity for our intention of the day, we just relax the knee for a moment and then join back in. Now from warrior two, we're going to find triangle. Triangle, we go ahead and straighten the leg just a little bit, leave a little bit of a knee bend. Start to hinge down with that right hand, so it just raises the right leg. That left arm can come high to the sky. For anyone taking care of shoulders, we just let that arm roll down. Staying in this position, I'll show it from another angle. So warrior one, warrior two, triangle. Triangle is a beautiful stretch. We've got that hand held high at the top of the triangle. If we were to connect the dot, we'd come to the foot all the way back up to the hand to draw those three edges. Great stretch for the inner thigh and great work for the obliques of that side body. Slowly, let's soften that knee, lifting ourselves all the way up, turning the toes to the front. Wherever it's comfortable for you on the mat or in your workout space to hold a long split position, we'll take ourselves into a standing forward fold. Inhale, reaching the arms up, hinging at the hips, we exhale. Reach, 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 and let go. Noticing if we need to heel toe those feet in closer towards one another or farther away to get a better stretch. We want to imagine that our hamstrings in the back side of our legs are opening up. We can do this by trying to tip our tailbone a little bit higher to the sky. Hands can be on the floor, holding the legs, or even holding either arm. Slowly softening the legs. I want us to walk our hands towards the front edge of our mat, turning our foot coming through a lunge and into plank. Whatever plank you've chosen to do today, whether you're on toes or knees, we're taking that chaturanga flow again. Slow, lower down to the mat, working on those graceful transitions. Inhale, scooping up through cobra. Noticing how amazing it feels to lengthen the front of our body as we work on extending the back. Slowly pressing back now into child's pose or downward facing dog. Whichever position our body is asking for, let's listen to it and respond accordingly. I'm going to encourage everyone to notice our feet. If we're in child's pose, how flat are they? If we're in down dog, have our heels gotten closer to the floor? Are our knees straighter? Is the tailbone higher? Now everyone together, let's walk our hands and feet up to the top of our mat. Take our time, slowly coming up halfway into monkey. Let's work on that postural awareness, bringing our shoulder blades in. Slowly softening the knees. Inhale, reverse swan dive, let's lift up tall. And exhale, release. Good. Again, if anyone needs a drink of water, please feel free to grab that now. And if we are ready to continue, we stand tall at the top of our mat. Notice if we can get a little bit longer, feeling good on all four corners of our feet as we switch into the left foot at the front of our mat. Right leg sweeps back into warrior one. We're keeping the hips and shoulders facing front. Both feet are completely flat on the floor as we lift our arms through the position of high to the sky or down through heart center. Very intentional with our position. And as we continue to hold our warrior one, Let's find ourselves coming a little bit deeper, perhaps, bending that left knee, planting the outer edge, particularly of that right foot, pinky and heel. Preparing to open up through Warrior Two now. Let's open the hips, followed by the shoulders. Arms are strong. Sometimes we accidentally let our elbows hang or our wrists lock. Let's imagine that we're holding our arms like we've hugged a tree. From this hugging position, keeping our elbows pulling back, from here we simply extend through the wrists forward. A wonderful technique if we're just wanting to ensure shoulder blades together and biceps, triceps held strong. Let's continue bending in through that left knee to open up the hips, keeping shoulders and hip right directly in front. As we find this position, again, we take as many breaks as we need. Otherwise, we get a little bit deeper for these last 2 breaths before we find triangle. Let's slowly start to extend that leg if it's not already. Soft through the knee, not exactly straight. Reach towards me. Come down with that left hand to graze the leg. Right hand can come straight up. And if we were to connect the dots here in our triangle, the hand would come from the ceiling and it would be a really nice straight line from shoulders, hands, right down into the floor. Being mindful that while we hold triangle, we're not gripping that bottom leg, but the arm is simply there, extending long. The work is being held by our side body, the oblique, stretching through the inner thigh and into the groin. Softening our knee now, inhale, lifting ourselves up, coming into our standing forward fold one more time. Zipping ourselves up through the middle, preparing to hinge at our hips. Knees are a little bit bent as we hold ourselves in through that standing split here. Inhale, lifting the arms tall. Exhale, hinge, pushing the hips back, reaching the arms long, and as soon as we feel a stretch, maybe we stop. Hands can be on thighs, shins, foot, or floor. And we open those hamstrings, reaching the tailbone nice and high as we relax through the upper back. Let's deepen our breath now. Notice what we feel. Stretching up the back of the leg, through those thighs. Softening the knees now. We'll slowly start to walk our way all the way up tall. Very good. And we can heel toe our feet in, finding ourselves just centered on our mat. Taking our next position, this is going to be standing, continuing to open up through our thighs. It'll be dancer. So if we're comfortable standing free, please stay where we are. If we'd like a little bit of extra support, just have a chair, table, even a wall nearby. I'll show us what we're doing. The end position is going to be our dancer stretch. Feeling free to hold it in this position or here. So there's absolutely room to hold an extra surface for balance help. Starting in Tadasana, we're going to start with an extension back of that right leg. Just noticing our balance as we stand tall on our left. Inside of the hand, inside of the foot is the proper hold. Hold it however you'd like though. Drawing the knee in, the shoulder back. We reach that right foot back as the left arm comes forward. Notice we want shoulders and hips facing front. I'll turn to the side just so you can see a bit better. There. Keeping this foot pressing against the hand, we might be able to lift up a bit higher, causing a stretch through the right shoulder. For anyone looking just to back off a little bit, please feel free to continue holding the quad stretch. And if this is the position, we push this hip forward. It's going to cause a really great response down the front of that leg. Everyone together, take one more big inhale. And exhale, release. I like to fidget my feet at this point, just to encourage some good blood flow, maybe avoid some foot cramps. Reestablishing Tadasana. Let's take that left foot back behind us now as we extend at the hip. Inside of hand, hold inside of the foot. If that's a little bit difficult to imagine, sometimes it's like checking the bottom of your shoe for gum. That might help with the visual. Roll the hip and shoulder back, reaching our right arm front. We can stand tall in this quadricep stretch, front of thigh stretch, or we can start to kick that hip back, the foot back as well. Reaching our right arm front, turn to the side a little bit so we can see. Whew. Good. It's an amazing stretch for the shoulder, the bicep, the chest, the thigh, the hip, if we can come into dancer. Please feel like you don't need to lean forward. It's actually one of those stretches we want to remain proud. Good, we'll just hold a few more breaths, not getting frustrated with our balance, accepting it as it is today and holding the position as best we can. Taking that last big inhale, and exhale, relax. Fidgeting at those feet. A couple big breaths, and let's reestablish our position at the top of our mat. As we're going to come down to the floor now, where we'll finish our practice. Big inhale, lift tall. And from Tadasana, we exhale, reverse swan dive, coming all the way down to the floor. Oh, one final big forward fold stretch. Let's spend a few more breaths here. Shake the head no. Nod the head yes. Slowly taking our time, we bend the knees, placing the hands on the floor if they're not already. Stepping the knees back through tabletop. From tabletop, I want us to sit back into our final child's pose. Extending those arms front and releasing the head down. Whether the head touches the ground or if the hips touch the knees, this is all within our own body. Please not comparing to anyone else or thinking we need to look a certain way. I want us to be comfortable in our own skin. Take little notes every time we practice yoga about how does our body feel? How does the pose feel when we do it a certain way? Are we limited by certain things? Do we have an understanding of how our body works and how to make it feel better? Taking my favorite shoulder stretch, let's walk our hands over to the right, taking that left hand on top of right hand, and then sinking back through our left hip as we open up the left side of our body. Slow our breathing. Slowly walking our hands through the middle, over towards the left side now, placing that right hand on top of the left hand, and then the weight shifts through the right side as we open up past that shoulder. Walking through the middle. Take our time as we walk ourselves up, finding a comfortable seated position. Whatever that might be, I want us to just make sure that wherever we're sitting, we're able to hold our shoulders down our backs, really nice and tall through the middle. I like to sit in a cross-legged position, whether it's half lotus or full. Some people, if you have a yoga block available to you, sitting on top of a block can relieve a lot of that lower back pain or any hip restriction, allowing us to sit with taller posture. So please feel free to just get comfortable here. And as we hold this final seated pose, we're going to stretch through our neck, taking our right ear, lower the ear down towards our right shoulder. If it feels good, I like to close my eyes, maybe even just push that left arm away. This is an excellent opportunity to really pay attention to our breathing. Slow breath in and out through the nose. Releasing the neck and the arms, finding our neutral alignment. Let's take our left ear over now. And if it felt good as we release those shoulders down, feel free to push the right arm away. Noticing any lengthening we're feeling through the neck and shoulder. releasing that. Remaining tall as we find just a comfortable position where we're able to stay on top of our sit bones, long through the back, proud through the chest and the top of our head. As we're focusing on that breath, we're going to keep our eyelids calm, not furrowing or stressed through the eyebrows at all, not clenching the jaws, but rather letting the tongue fall from the roof of our mouth, allowing our bellies to expand with each inhale. And on that exhale, feeling everything contract. Taking our final breath. On our exhale, starting to release through our fingers, maybe giving a little bit of a roll. Good. Perhaps even working through the neck or the shoulders, taking any final stretches. Reestablishing that seated posture as we prepare for our final goodbye. At this point, we're very comfortable with our body. Please continue to stretch anything you've become aware that needs a little bit extra love and care today. Now with our next inhale, let's draw those arms up above head to prayer. Exhale, come down through heart center. Thank you so very much, everyone. Namaste. And have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you so much.